Welcome to this free call. Not necessarily a workshop or a all guided meditation, but more of an artful coming together, an invitation to connect with our ancient grandmothers. My name's Hannah Lay, and this is a theme I feel very passionate about. Singing and song are a central part of my life and my work in this life. And the ancestral work has been huge for me the last about 5 years. I started working with Walla 4.5 years ago, doing one-on-one sessions, ancestral healing sessions, and that work is actually where this whole organization that we're now in this call within Weaving Remembrance. So this organization I felt called to birth through, called Weaving Remembrance, which has been holding many workshops of teachers from around Europe who still carry threads of traditional song, story, and craft, and reviving this European ancestral indigenous wisdom. It's so rich. There's so much still alive. And that's what I'm finding as the more and more teachers we gather. And yeah, feel really blessed because my path before that was very steeped in South American traditions and did the yoga, had a whole 10 years of going deep into yoga. So lots of traditions woven, and then my own longing to connect with the ancestral lands. I'm calling in right now from Dartmoor, England, where I've been living for almost a year, or within the last two. And it's gray and rainy. Surprise. If you imagine England, the stereotypical. And you'll see later. Okay. I recorded this rough and beautifully, perfectly imperfect track this morning here by the creek and the stones and the beach and the oak tree that we're going to use as part of the journey later. So let me see if there's anything else to share about myself, and just making sure people's mute is staying on. We'll move into song in a moment. And yeah, I spoke a little bit about weaving remembrance. I just feel like it's going to keep flowering and unfolding, and it's okay. Nala, will you check the setting to make sure we're going to keep the child safety lock on just so people can't unmute for this part. Later we'll unmute and hear from the community. Yeah, so Songs of Mother Europe was the first project that came through about 2 years ago, and that was my own longing to learn the songs of my ancestry. And we're in our 6th season, and so some of you joining are a part of the lullaby edition. The 6th season of Songs of Mother Europe is the lullaby edition. So we've been learning lullabies the last 4 weeks. We have another 4 weeks of that course, and we'll have another summer version for our friends in Australia. But yeah, this bonus class came because we're in this lullaby container we decided to put out to the whole network. So thank you for coming. And that's the energy that we've been working with. Like, oh, this soothing. So many of us, myself, definitely, the energy of soothing and calming and regulating, and doing that through these guided journeys and also through singing. So before I teach, or before we open our voices a bit together, we'll do around maybe 5 minutes of singing before I pass it to Nala. And
I just wanted to say it's been such a joy working with you, Hanalei, and watching this project, Songs of Mother Europe and Weaving Remembrance, to come into being. It's exactly why I do the work I do, is for people to be connecting to deeply into their roots. And when I got wind of what you were doing, I just felt so much joy and so much pleasure that I was able to have any part in that, directly or indirectly. And I just feel so honored to be co-weaving with you at this point. So yeah, thank you so much, and thank you all for being here. I'm Nala, Nala Walla. Yeah, and let's do some singing to really
Well, I want to
drop in together.
talk you up first a little. Yeah, I remember our first session 4.5 years ago. I connected. I wanted to start working with my mother's line. Like already feeling a bit of emotion and gratitude from that. Of yeah, just born from such a yearning for belonging, to know my place on earth, to know. Of course, we're multidimensional beings, and our well, it depends on who you talk to, but our bloodlines aren't everything. And it is really a beautiful, beautiful process to connect with that. So my mother's line's from here, England and Scotland. And that first session I had with Nala, I remember I got this ritual homework to start weaving, to weave a willow basket.
Mm.
And that was winter of fall winter of 2019, and since then I've created Weaving Remembrance, and I'm obsessed with weaving, like literally weaving and weaving as we're doing here on the call together. So thank you, Nala. Thanks for holding the space that you do. Thank you for your fierceness and your boundaries and just the way that you stand in your own integrity. I appreciate that. Okay, let's sing. I don't know if everybody knew they're getting into singing. Is that on the webpage? But singing is one of our most basic, simple medicines that we carry around with us all the time. And we'll start with some humming to warm up our voices, and then simply do some soothing sounds, already setting the space and invoking this energy of the grandmothers. Okay. I'm gonna use my drum for this. So finding your seat or finding your feet, if you're standing or sitting. We'll kind of spiral in and out of, we'll go deeper into ritual and prayer and guided journey space in a little bit. So we won't dive too deep in this moment, but more just to open ourselves. And so go ahead and place hands on your heart. And find a hum, find a tone that feels really nourishing to your heart. Feels relaxing, regulating. And stay with that, not trying to make a sound or find anything particular, just staying with the feeling tone of what it is, what's vibrating in your chest, and let it be nourishing to your own heart. Whatever your heart's needing, let it be transmitted through your own voice, this original medicine, simple medicine. Giving yourself this gift. You've brought your presence here. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. For those that came live, for those that are watching the recording right now, thank you for hearing this call of the grandmothers. I feel grateful and humbled by all those who have come before us that have made our lives possible. So as we continue to hum into our hearts, filling yourself with gratitude, anchoring yourself in this moment, letting it clear your mind, really coming into the presence, the loving presence that is here, and letting your body receive and soften into this. And you can change notes if you want to go higher or lower, or any other sounds want to come out, or you want to stay with the simple nourishing hum. We'll be here for a little bit longer. Breathing, arriving, centering, opening, receiving. If there's a particular stuck place in your body, you can send the tone there to help yourself relax and open up and trust. Maybe even placing hands on a certain place in the body. And I'm going to introduce you. I'm giving thanks in this moment to a teacher, one of my other teachers. Her name's Carolyn Hillier. She's here in Dartmoor, close by where I'm living, and she's brought through this Proto-Celtic language, helped revive a 4,000-year-old Proto-Celtic language and the mother tongue of these lands and different lands throughout central or mainland Europe. And this word, nani, is the word for grandmother in the Proto-Celtic mother tongue. So it's just N-A-N-I, nani, which is similar to, I think the Georgian is nani la. There's different variations of nana, nani. So we'll sing the nani. And the melody that we'll sing together is just like this. Oh, oh, nani, nani. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, nani, nani. Oh, 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 nani, nani. Oh, oh, oh. So you can join me in whatever way feels good for you. Oh, oh, nani, nani. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, nani, nani. Oh, oh, oh. So we'll go for a little bit longer. Let's just be in the simplicity of that and the mantra of that, and bringing your own prayer through that. Is it longing that is there a longing for connection? Is there a gratitude? Is there a frustration even? I think it's good to be authentic with the ancestors about what's really going on, so you can bring that emotion through this melody in whatever way feels good. So let's do it a handful more times. Yeah. Oh, oh, nani, nani. Oh, 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 nani, nani. Oh, 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 nani, nani. Last time. Oh, oh, nani, nani. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Thank you for singing with me. And now we will transition and gently emerge with Walla, calling in from Port Townsend, Washington, or Marrowstone Island.
Yes, thank you so much. That's helpful for me to do a little singing, because I definitely get nervous myself in a Zoom box with hundreds of other people. So that has helped me settle, and I hope it's helped some of you arrive as well. I am hailing from the Chimkam territory in Washington State, the Olympic Peninsula in the US. And I've been here for about 20 years and basically was received by this land as a refugee, like many of us, from some pretty intense things that have been going on in Europe for thousands of years. And some of us have been here for a shorter or longer time, but it's been this beautiful land where I sit surrounded by cedars and rosemary right now, and maple and raven, which welcomed me and is really the first place where I ever felt at home, even though I was born originally in New York. So I'm really grateful to this land and grateful to all of the journeys that brought us here to show up to a call like this, where we're at the point of in our healing cycle, the healing cycle of our lineages, where we would be wondering about our ancestors and how to connect back with them. When I got to this land, it was the first place that I was ever able to start feeling. And I remember collapsing around this old growth maple tree here, which I call the grandmother tree. So she's right over here. And some of you have actually been to the grandmother tree with me, Maureen and Gretchen, I think. I see some of you who have been here with me. And I just collapsed around this tree and I wept and wept and wept. And as I started to learn more about grief and where it comes from, I realized that there was no way that all the grief that I was feeling could possibly be from my own lifetime. And so I was moved to start studying how to reconnect with my ancestors and actually feel them, not just learn about them genealogically, but feel them as an embodied presence, feel them as a somatic reality. So much healing has happened on this land where I sit in this yurt, doing lots of ceremony and ancestral healing work with people like Hanalei and many others. So I'd like to share with you a little bit of that work today. And first, I wanted to start with a little bit of a conceptual framework. So I'm going to share a little slideshow for a few minutes. And then we will take a short bio break after that and come back to go into more of a guided visualization, or as I noticed there are some people here from the Mythic Body who our teacher is Joshua Michael Schrei, and he would call it imaginal architecture rather than visualization. So we're really reclaiming the power of our imaginal world, not as something that's a projection or a fantasy, but as one of the core human faculties, one of the great gifts that humans have to make things manifest in this world. So I'm going to share my screen here. Thank you for bearing with the Zoom technology. And where am I here? Can you all see that okay? Yes. Great. So I'd love it if everybody could just put your hands up for a second here. I look at my hands a lot. I'm not a grandma yet, but my kid's getting older and my hands are getting more wrinkly. So I strive to have hands like this one day. The first thing to know about doing ancestor work is that we all have wise and kind and loving ancestors. And I love this quote. Suddenly, all my ancestors, I feel them behind me, and they're saying, be still and watch and listen. You are the result of the love of thousands. So this process of ancestral healing really starts by acknowledging that it is our birthright to connect with our ancestors. You know, it's one of the evidences of the colonization process is when we don't feel entitled to connect with our ancestors. Like that's something that for other people, but as modern people, where our grandmothers are lost to us. And this is really evidence that we're in the late stages of colonization. You know, some of these forces that we see right now that are severing people from the land, clearing people off the land, forbidding people to speak with their native languages. The things in the US where we've seen that very recently and currently happening with Native people also happen to European people. It was just longer ago. And so we're in a late stage process of colonization where we would think of our grandmothers as lost. We even use that term, like I lost my mother, I lost my grandmother last year. Yeah. I have another teacher, Stephen Jenkinson, who says if you lost your keys or your wallet, you would make an effort, a pretty strong effort to find your keys or your wallet. You'd really look all over the place. And if you couldn't find it, you would say, how could I be so careless? And I'll never let this happen again. So may we not so easily lose our grandmothers. So this work in ancestral healing is really part of what we know works in trauma healing. So these are 3 phases of trauma healing that Judith Herman came up with, where you have to get the person, it will just say a human person in this case, because if anyone's out there resonates with being an animist, everything's people. Right? The stones are people too, and the cats are people too, and the cedars are people too. So let's just say for humans, we need to create a safe space so we can feel that sense of being protected and stable, grounded, held by our guardians. And we'll experience that in the journey that we'll be doing soon. Then there's a remembrance and mourning phase where we are witnessed in our story by empathetic listeners. And in this case, we're gathering our ancestors around us to do that witnessing and listening. And we are also witnessing the stories of our ancestors. So we are healing and establishing that memory for our lineage. And then in this case, today we'll be doing that with a particular grandmother. We'll invite a connection with a grandmother for that witnessing process. And then that reconnection, that establishing trust, just like you would with a living human, you can do this with your ancestors. You can have a relationship with them. You can establish a vocabulary and a ritual framework where you can build that relationship, build it into a healthy, robust resource for you and your whole lineage. So the ancestral healing process is part of the trauma healing. We're working on healing attachment. And usually this refers to attachment to living humans, but this also refers to attachment in our ancestral body, attachment to our, the deceased. We start with the deceased who are very, very well and vibrant and rooted, and we all have those ancestors in our lives. So we're building that sense of kinship, this place that we all come from, these lines that have birthed us into this living present moment. It's a almost like putting on these layers of robes. If you're out in a windy, cold day and you're completely naked, you don't have any of your kin surrounding you, reclaiming this kinship and feeling these wise grandmothers is these robes that can really insulate us from the wilds of dissociation and that feeling of being so thin and not having anybody at your back. That's what we're doing with when we build relationship with ancestors who are loving, kind, and wise. So for my whole life, I've been working with the body. And when I say the body, I'm talking both about my physical, individual body, my sense of my somatic reality. So there's the level of the soma, which only I understand what it's like to be in my own body. So that's my somatic reality. And then there's the social body or the communal body, the body politic. So there's another level of the body, the way that we function in community. And then there's the planetary body, feeling ourselves part of this larger Gaian body, the Mother Earth. And then there's our ancestral body that connects us all the way back. Truly, we can go all the way back to the Stardust, which was the first thing that landed on the planet and made life possible. In this case, we're working on our sense of ancestry, those who had an experience as a human. So our human ancestral body. And in doing that reconnection, we notice that sometimes there's a lot of grief that comes up. So grief work and ancestor work tend to go hand in hand. And when I say grief and ancestor work go hands in hand, that means that joy and ancestor work go hand in hand, because you can't really have one without the other. Grief and joy sleep in the same bed, as they say. Yeah. So we're working on, I'm assuming everybody is familiar with the word somatic at this point, but it just means our experience of our own bodies from the inside. It's a very, very personal and subjective experience, our soma. So we're becoming more literate about our grief, which, as I just mentioned, means becoming more literate about feeling our joy and feeling ecstasy in our bodies, feeling that pleasure of being held in the arms of our grandmother is part of being literate with grief. That our tears and our laughter and our wails of pain and our wails of beauty and connection start to mingle. And that's that alchemical place that we know is the sweet spot where healing has happened, where tears of joy and gratitude are mixing with our tears of sorrow. So we're hoping to deprivatize our grief. It's not only something that happens behind closed doors, or happens behind closed doors with a therapist where it's considered a pathology. I mean, some of you might know that the DSM, which is the diagnostic manual for psychologists, consider, I think it's anything over 6 weeks is considered to be a pathology after somebody after a loss, after someone's died, or you lose a job, or there's some kind of big event in your life. You're not allowed to go past 6 weeks. So really so much of the depression that is diagnosed is actually grief that hasn't been given any space. So this ancestor work is also a place where we can gather our ancestors around us to witness us on our grief. Of course, it also helps to be held by our fellow humans, and I'm a big advocate for communal grief ritual as well. It can be very life-changing. But reframing this notion of grieving and connecting with our ancestors as a skill, that is something that we should really be learning from the time we're just young babes. So we're working on this together. Maybe some of you know that whaling was once a very honorable profession in many cultures, and we're talking about, in this case, Hana Leigh's vision has been to work with her own ancestors, so she created songs of Mother Europe. That means there's a lot of whaling songs. There are lullabies, which are the topic of this current course that she's teaching. But so much of the wisdom of our culture has been crystallized and is being held in these songs. So there are lamentation songs and lullabies, songs that were traditionally held by women, by grandmothers and mothers, were always a very legitimate role for more intact cultures all around the world. So if you are feeling called to wail and to be one of those people that carries songs of wailing or lullaby, lamentation, you don't have to look outside of your own lineages. Obviously there's Irish keening and Jewish wailing women and the Karelian lamentation and many, many, many more. The deeper you look, the more you'll see that every culture has these traditions. What a sweet face. I believe this is one of the Karelian whalers. So the other piece about the ancestor work that I do is that it's ritual. It goes beyond the psychological framework, the current or the standard psychological framework, because there are many beautiful psychologists that consider psyche to be as big as the entire planet, right? But most conventional psychology stops short at allowing the unseen powers and our ancestral presences and our guides to be part of the healing. That is more in the realm of creating ritual. So we will do a mini ritual together. I can't quite see this quote from my screen, but I'll give it a go. It's a quote from Malidoma Some, who bequeathed from his Dagara tribe with his wife Sabanfu Some some very, very beautiful communal grieving rituals, because their elders in the Dagara tribe in Africa were wondering what is going on there over in the US and over in the West. Wow, it seems like those people really just forgot how to grieve. They don't know how to grieve. So the Somes were sent to the US to bring grief ritual here, and they've been an incredible influence on many of us wailing women. Ritual is the most ancient way of binding a community together in close relationship with spirit, and it's a very safe, it's an effective tool to maintain the delicate balance between body and soul. If you look deeply into the palm of your hand, you will see your parents, all generations of your ancestors. All of them are alive in this moment. Each of them is present in your body. And you are the continuation of each of these people. None of us would be here today if it weren't for our ancestors. In many ways, we're comprised of nothing but ancestors. And so to know that means that we all have a deep wisdom somewhere back there. There may have been turmoil in our lineages in the recent generations, but that is not the norm. Those are little spots in the lineage that still need healing. However, we would not be here if predominantly our lineages were not filled with people who were very well adapted, knew how to live rooted into the earth. We're kind, we're loving, we're fast, we're strong, we're sexy, we're capable, we're resilient. All of that is available to us, and it's our birthright. Thank you, grandmothers. So I hope you'll please get in touch with me. There's my little card if anyone wants to connect after the session. And yeah, thank you for your attention. For a moment, we're going to take a short break to just stretch and wiggle after a little bit of that more conceptual and mental work, and shift gears. If anyone needs to take a bathroom break, now would be a good time. Thank you. Just take a little bit of a wiggle break.
So everybody reconvene in 3 minutes. Getting ready for our guided journey.
Yeah, come right back. Thank you. Welcome back. And if everyone wants to just settle in, for this part, we're going to be on a short journey together, which I will talk you through. And Hanalei went out early this morning, yes, to the river. So you'll hear some live, well, it was recorded live this morning. You'll hear the river trickling, and you'll hear Hanalei's rattling, drumming, and singing. And this part will be recorded, but we won't be recording any of your screens. So you're welcome to either keep your screen on or off, and it won't be part of the recording. Yeah. So just finding a comfortable seat, or maybe you would be laying down. It's a place where you can feel settled. I will ring a bell and I will say a short prayer for us. Thank you to the beautiful artisans who crafted this bell. Thank you to the holy fire of this candle, this fire that keeps me warm, this holy breath that allows me to speak to you right now, this holy breath bringing us back to center. Thank you for these holy waters of feeling. Help us know that we're alive. Thank you, these holy waters. Thank you to this holy earth beneath my seat and beneath my feet, holding us all up. The source of our grandmothers, this blessed earth. Thank you. Bruch Ruach, Bruchot Habaot Hore Shal Tikkun, in service of healing, Tikkun Olam, healing the world. I ask that my ancestors and the places where all of our ancestors are well and threaded all together and holding us, human beings, in our blessed mess, that we be seen for coming in our authenticity to this gathering, this virtual gathering, but we're all in our places rooted. Thank you to all of the ancestors and all of the wise beings, all the elementals and all the predecessors on these lands that we live on, the peoples who stewarded these places since time immemorial. Thank you for all the places where we are joined in this common destiny to create a more beautiful, more sane, more thriving and just and loving world. May this time together be a small step in that direction. Haishka, Haishka, thank you. Amen. So just taking a moment now to, if you have not already, to really arrive in your own skin, in your own presence, using the breath, doing a little rocking, shaking. Using your breath to allow anything, any business from the day, any business, any busyness to just fall away so you can be present. Listening to the sounds of the river. Seeing yourself at the center of a wheel. And allowing the shaker to cleanse your space and create a sense of protectedness, calling on your guardians, calling on the support of the Mother Earth, the support of unconditional love, all of the ways that you're supported to create this extra sphere of protection around you at the center of this wheel. Feeling where in your body you know that this guardianship, this protection resides. How do you know it's in place? For me, I feel a tingling all over my skin. It's different for everyone. Once you feel that sense of protection in place, just lean slightly back into it. So that you can go into a receptive mode, knowing that your space is held. Your space is protected. Sending out a prayer, an intention, an invitation now. As you seek back through all the branches and lineages way, way back, through all of your mycelial networks, threading back into the ancient times, asking for the presence of a wise, loving, kind grandmother, someone who lived in the times of connection, deep weaving with earth processes. Asking, grandmother, I seek your wisdom. I seek your love. I sing to you. And when you feel her presence, spend a moment in that joyous connection. See what it is that she has to say to you or communicate with you. And you can tell her, yes, it's been a long road, grandmother. It's been a long time since our people have connected back with you and into this deep pool of wisdom. Ask her for this blessing of being able to be gathered in her arms for some embracing. Really feel that sense of a hug or a cradling. Allow yourself to be rocked. You can allow her hands to animate your own hands and wipe your tears so gently. feel her hands inhabiting your hand and stroke your face or stroke your hair. Feeling your hands in her hands. Hearing her hum. Feeling that humming back to her. And asking her for her continued presence in your life, for these moments of holding and cradling, for her wisdom to be able to connect with it. Ask for this to be continuous. Ask for one way that she could advise you to access this grandmother portal. Maybe it's a talisman. Maybe it's a ritual activity of some kind that she wants you to do. Or a place where you can connect with her. Thank you. Thanking her. Thank you, grandmother. Let her know that you will be back to meet with her again and again. Maybe she can leave you with a kiss on your brow, squeeze of your hand. Now, as you return to that center, that sense of being center of the wheel, protection all around. Letting that experience settle within your body, in your memory. Allowing that somatic imprint to land somewhere. Maybe it's in your belly or your heart. Beautiful. And then slowly making your way back out, opening your eyes and stretching. Thank you, grandmothers. We will return again and again to your wisdom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all of our guardians who support us and helped us learn that we can tap in, even in the modern world, even through these modern technologies, that we still have the right, the birthright to tap in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to transition into a time of sharing. And we're going to do breakout rooms. So don't let your nervous system be like, make it a freak out room. It's just a breakout room. It's nice people. The other teacher called them breakout rooms. So we'd like to do breakout rooms. And the prompt, you want to share the prompt? We're just going to do a sharing of about 3 minutes per person and groups of 3. So it'll be a 9-minute breakout room. And Nala, will you share the prompt for us?
Yeah.
Oh, just one more thing of once we start it, you're welcome to leave and come back in 10 minutes because then everybody will have a time where people can share their experience or ask questions. So if you want to be part of that community part, but not the breakout, go ahead and leave and come back. But if you stay and lean into the mystery, you're welcome to. Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be really luscious to hear about some of the experience you may have just had. Share that with one another. What you might have felt or heard from this grandmother, how that's landing for you, or anything about your relationship with your ancestors that you want to share with your breakout rooms. And I like that, freak out rooms. If there's some freaking out that needs to happen, I support that too. So, yeah, thank you all for being such good sports, such good, willing, generous hearted humans. And we'll meet back here in about 10 minutes. Hopefully you can just keep time for each other through about 3 minutes each, and we will see you back here. And again, if you don't want to be part of a breakout room, just leave the meeting and then rejoin in 10 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We're coming to the end of our time together. Though it would be so nourishing to hear at least 1 or 2 shares if anybody's really, really keen to share with the rest of the group. Too short, yeah. Yes, it's too short. I could do this all day with y'all, so let's make it a point to do that sometime. But if anyone is okay, there's a couple of people who have raised their hand. We're only going to have time for a couple shares for now before we wind out. But thank you all so much. Shayna?
Thank you so much for this knowledge and then the opportunity for embodiment. It was really, really beautiful. So with the journey, I returned to a dream that I had like just over a year ago. But it's one of those dreams that has so much rich imagery to it. It just keeps unfolding in my life. So I'll just share that there was a tree of ancestors, and they were all like these unmoving chrysalises on the tree. But today I was invited into the mouth of one of the chrysalises right near the meadow. And then I was just held in this cocoon space. And then a beautiful healing started to transpire with my maternal grandmother and some of the judgments that I've held about her, and just allowing the wisdom of her essence to start to, just become more clear and radiant. So I thank you for that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. So powerful. And I hope folks know that you don't need to wait for this Zoom room to do these journeys with your grandmothers. Ideally, we'll all get to the point where they just sit on your shoulder all the time and whisper into our ear. So, yeah, thank you. I saw another hand.
Anyone else want to share your heart? Momo.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Wow, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was um, in multiple realms in that journey, here in the body, in this space, with you all, especially Nala. I felt you and your land there, the land. And I was also with some others who invited me here today. And I journeyed to both to Costa Rica and to other parts of Washington. I mean, it was just amazing how, and up into Canada and over to eh, the um, the east, like it was China and Tibet, many places. And then she appeared as a butterfly, as a morpho butterfly, and she was both human and, or she is both human and morpho, and she was entering my head, my um, medulla oblongata, and my spine and my heart and feet and everywhere, just really, really touching deeply. So thank you so much for this space, for our connection that is eternal. Appreciation for meeting her again and all of you again. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you so much, Momo. Good to see you. See you in your butterfly self.
We'll do Laura.
Laura. And then we'll probably have to close for today with a song after Laura.
Oh, goody. Thanks and all that and more. Um, I I went back to where I did been in Scotland. Um, in real life, I was visiting the ruins of a village of on my Scottish side, and went to this place where there was a stone wall, and I had a really strong memory of being there when I was a bit younger than a teenager, and it was either a garden or a place where I was watching cattle or something, or sheep, and that was my chore. And I was very sure that some very wise person had said, "Oh, have her do that for her chore, because she would be good at that." And what it really was she needs to be alone, she needs to be outdoors, but she also needs to be not shirking her work. And I have a so this is ancestors, past lives, maybe those two kind of overlap. And I thought later also I have a very strong past life memory of being in a dungeon or a sane asylum or something where I was totally, doesn't matter what I said because I was already guilty or I was already crazy, and so I had nothing I could do would matter. And I'm wondering if that person that that sent me to do that knew that I could not be inside, that I don't want couldn't be cooped up
Mm,
because
right.
of that past trauma. And so
That sounds like good medicine.
that put together with that, that's enough.
That sounds like good medicine for that one who was cooped up for so long.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think in that past life, somebody was aware of my other past life further back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and was wise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Such good medicine is
yeah,
present within our own bodies, our own ancestral bodies. Thank you, Laura.
Aye.
Okay, last one so we can hear a male voice. Ralph?
Yes, please. Hi, Ralph.
Hi, Nala. Hi, everybody. Hi, Laura. Yeah, I got so much specifically out of the breakout room, getting to share and in exchange with Rosalind. And yeah, I just this is really big work for me as I have a new child, and my parents have been drawn into the Pacific Northwest from the East Coast, so I'm working to get to know the healthy. I'm searching for health in my lineage, and specifically, as I couldn't quite locate a grandmother, but my hands becoming her hands, and bridging, letting go of all the details, but letting just the idea of letting my hands be her hands, and just receiving touch in a way that I don't have that memory. I don't have that. And I just really valued getting to exchange with you, Rosalind, and we got cut off, and it was a real pleasure. So thank you.
Yeah, so powerful, that you can do even when you're technically alone, that you can actually feel yourselves being stroked or held by allowing your grandmother to populate your hands, that kindness to come into your own hands, so you can feel yourself being touched and caressed. It's such a powerful ritual practice. Yeah. And we've never been taught that these things are possible for us, so may we remember. Yeah, may we remember. That's a really good notion and prayer to close out with. Yeah. Thank you all so much for just going with it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm reminded how when I first started this work, and it's, yeah, dealing with our Western minds, where I pop in and out of, oh, this feels really real, and what am I doing? And that it's a cool process, like the tension of those in a way, and that there's no wrong way, that it's not dogmatic. It's just make it our own. For me, if I can feel it, then it's working. So let's sing a quick song.
One quick thing to say about that it's so normal for us to have that doubting voice that's saying, oh, I'm making this all up. And that's that colonizer voice that has been internalized for over so many centuries, that this isn't real, And it's I've never been able to get rid of that voice. It's not really possible. It's threaded into our being, but we don't have to put it into the driver's seat. We can say, yeah, we know that you don't believe, and then here's this other piece of me that is going to go with what, as you said, what is feeling good and nourishing is real. So, yeah, thank you for that, Hanalei. And I'd love to close with a song. Hi.
Yay, cat energy. Okay, wow. Wow. In the spirit of spontaneity and perfectness, I just wrote a little song while we were sharing. Or just a simple melody, and I'll sing it, and I invite you to add your own. You'll see. Let's just do the melody first. before I do the song, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna say a few logistics, and then we'll end on the song that will have a better feel to it, I'm realizing. So apologies for that little skip. Logistics. We're gonna send out the recording. Hooray. And I'll send out Nala's contact as well. Recommend the one-on-one work with her if you're called to it. As far as weaving remembrance, we're currently in the lullaby course, and this summer I'm going to do a Songs of Mother Europe for Australian folks, like in that timing, so they can come live. I've gotten a lot of requests for that. And we're looking at having our second Scotland course, a course focused on old songs and stories from Scotland. And so honing that. And then personally myself, I'm in a couple weeks starting a small group women's voice mentorship called Birthing Your Wild Voice, which is really fun for me to help women, in this case women, but all beings, get in touch with that really simple, clear medicine that is beyond I'm a good singer, I'm a bad singer. It's just truth of our being coming through our voice. So that's what that's about. Okay, fun. And I'm doing a retreat here on the land where I live in Dartmoor in the woodland, April 24th through the 29th, singing and weaving, open to all people. So if you know of anybody who'd like to come to that, there's a couple spots left. Okay. Na 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 na. You can kind of get the cadence, and you could do lai lai lais or nine nine nines or whatever syllables feel fun to you right now, and we can bring a bit of joy into this relationship. So we can say, grandmothers, I feel you. Grandmothers, I hear you. Try that. Grandmothers, I feel you. Grandmothers, I hear you. And then, grandmothers, I thank you. Grandmothers, you guide me. Grandmothers, I thank you. Grandmothers, you guide me. So you can do grandmothers, I sing with you. Grandmothers, I play with you. Grandmothers, you hold me, whatever you want. But we'll do the hear you. We'll do hear you, feel you, thank you, you guide me for this round. So feel free to play with it. Grandmothers, I hear you. Grandmothers, I feel you. Grandmothers, I thank you. Grandmothers, you guide me. Couple more times. Grandmothers, I hear you. Feel. Grandmothers, I feel you. Grandmothers, I thank you. Guide. Grandmothers, you guide me. One more time. Grandmothers, I hear you. Grandmothers, I feel you. Grandmothers, I thank you. Grandmothers, you guide me. Okay. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you, Nala. I appreciate your medicine. It's like, it makes so much sense.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Hanalei. And I hope you'll all be continuing this journey with grandmothers and grandfathers, for that matter, just all our ancestral kin. May we remember. Love, love, love to you all.
We'll just have people unmute and give some love. We'll close our call.
Thank you for your alchemy.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you.
Much
Good
gratitude.
magic. Good ceremony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blessed be.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.